All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today is it the 20th already?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So it's May 20th, 2021. The year is just zipping by. And here's where you're going to get some great tips and tricks and hacks for entrepreneurs. And I'm so excited because one of my favorite subjects of the last 12 to 24 months has been social media. Like I'm obsessed with it since we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything. And I have my guest here today. I'm just really, really excited to introduce to you Tracy Lee Davis with Zing Pop Social Media. And the reason I love her is because she was like an early adopter to this. I remember seeing her, I was telling you, I remember seeing you at Capital Club. I don't know, many years ago. And I was like, what is social media? I don't even know what this thing was. I was barely on Facebook. I was using it to share some pictures. So I'm excited for this interview today. And I know we've got guests here watching us. So if you've got questions, the cool thing is you can ask them too. Like we can actually see your comments. We can bring them on the screen and share them. So feel free to interact as well. But I'd love the folks to know a little bit about your background and how you got started in this before it was a thing.
Okay, sure. Well, so the how I got here really ties into what I did before. So prior to my social media world, everything that I did was with dogs. I was a dog trainer. And I was the director of operations for a dog daycare company in the South Bay. Or it still is a daycare boarding, grooming, and training facility. Well, they don't do all the same things that they used to, but I was the director of operations there. I ran the company for about 10 years and started there in 2004. And in 2005, we acquired one of our competitors. And so that's when I started using Constant Contact for email marketing. And so I started my email marketing career back in, 2005. And then time rolled along. When I moved back to California, because I grew up in California, I moved to Colorado for college, lived there and worked there for a while in the pet care industry, and then moved back to California. When I moved back in 2003, all of my friends were gone. Like they'd scattered to the winds and moved elsewhere. So I didn't have any friends here. And at that point, Friendster was a big deal. That's a social media platform from ages ago. So I started utilizing Friendster, and I was meeting people and making friends. And I'm still friends with two people who I met on Friendster back in 2003, and I still interact with them in real life. So social media was important for me personally a long time ago. So then, time marched on. I was at the dog daycare, and then about 2008, I'd gone from Friendster to MySpace to Facebook, and done all of that, and then in 2008, that's when social media really started becoming a thing for businesses. So of course, I was like, well, I saw how important it was for me personally. So yeah, I'm going to do this for the business. So started up a Facebook account for the business, started doing all of that stuff, and just really fell in love with all of the marketing, like seeing the impact that sending out emails had, that posting stuff on social media, what those things did for that business. It was like, ugh, well, why isn't everybody doing this? At that time, only like 10% of businesses were utilizing social media. Fast forward to 2000, going from 2008 to 2013, and that went up to I think something like 80%. So a huge jump in just 5 years. So I loved doing all of that stuff, and then, as tends to happen in the Silicon Valley, I got laid off. So after about a decade there, I got laid off, and then I was just kind of like, well, what do I do now? And I was really fortunate that one of the original clients at the daycare is a career coach, or I think she's retired now. But anyway, she said, hey, would you, I'm sure that you could use some help, or if you want some help, I'd be happy to give you some coaching time. So I did some sessions with her, talked about all of the things that I really loved about my career and the things that I didn't love, and thought that it was time for a change, to pivot away from working with animals for a little while, because I had been doing that for a long time, and then determined, okay, great, I'm gonna do social media. But the thing that's funny is that my original plan was to go and work at Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I wanted to go work at a social media company and just be a cog in the wheel, because all of my previous employment, I'd either been in charge of everybody or worked at a small family-run business. So I wanted to work at a big, like, I just wanted to be a cog in the wheel. But let me tell you, back in 2013, trying to get a job in a new industry was really hard. And so I applied for so many jobs at Facebook that they actually told me I was not allowed to apply for anything else. And so, through a variety of just, hits and misses, well, no hits, all misses, through a variety of a lot of misses, a couple of friends said, you just need to start your own business. And so Zing Pop Social Media was born.
And it's such a cute name. And
thank you.
Honestly, you would be bored. I'm just telling you, you're used to running the world. You would be bored. And
I needed a break from the responsibility for a little while, but 6 months of unemployment did that for me.
Yeah. Right. And I think sometimes, things that are happened to us, we're like, hey, you know what? You could have zigged and you zagged, and now here you are. So
yeah,
it happens for a reason. And I love that you hired a coach, and that's kind of what you do for your clients too. If you don't know something, it's not a weakness to hire somebody to help you figure it out. So, don't drown if you don't know what you're doing. And then I noticed, like, we met too, when you were with, well, you still are, I don't know why I would say when you were with, but we met a second time then at Women's Network Alliance. And I didn't realize that, you were so integrally involved. So at about the same time, you purchased, I guess, one of their franchises or the business there. So I'd love for you to talk about some, we're all networking online, and you're obviously a guru. You own a networking company too. So you got multiple streams of income. And we're networking all the time virtually. And this goes right hand in hand with your electronic media and social media and all that good stuff. Could you just real quickly, this is my pet peeve, can you just give people a couple quick tips on networking virtually?
Yes. Yes. One of the big things that I will say, well, two things right off the bat. Make sure that your name is displayed properly. Because I know a lot of families are using the same computer, they're using the same Zoom account. So, someone signs on and it's their husband's name or their child's name. And so that is something that is a pet peeve of mine. I'd like to know who I'm actually talking to. Like, if I'm with a group of people who I know, it's not that big of a deal, but still having the right name on there. And then the other big thing is turn on your camera. We want to be able to see you. If you went to a networking meeting and just sat in the corner the whole time and didn't talk with anybody, then it wouldn't be a very effective networking meeting for you. So turning on your camera so that people can see your face, so that people can see that you're engaged and that you're not turned and working on something else, or you're not like doing something on your phone, showing that you are present, that you're engaged is so important. We have limited ways of connecting right now, and video is right now one of the best ways to do it. So make sure that you are, if you're spending the time being somewhere, then be there.
Yeah, thank you. Because they only do business with people they know, like, and trust, and I can't trust a black box.
Yeah.
Right. And it really does. How you show up, right? Live is the same thing as how you show up virtually too. Are you on point? So thank you for that. That was just my own little aside right there to help some folks that are, trying to network out there. I know that, for instance, you focus on businesses and the plight. Okay. So I was a small business owner and I was like, I'm out. I'm going to go franchise route, because at the time I sold health insurance, and then the internet was coming on and I had to have oh my gosh, I didn't have social media at the time, but I was like, okay, and I got to have a website. I got to have all this stuff. I'm like, I'm out. It was just too much. And now these poor business owners, I mean, you got to have a website, you got to have a CRM, you got to have an email, you got to have social media presence. You got to be, it's just like, woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So if you were to give advice to maybe even someone starting or somebody who's just feeling inundated, one or two or three, things that you should just focus on that are must, it's going to be the biggest bang for their buck, because maybe they can't afford someone yet to help them, with the processes. What would you tell them? So a lot of platforms, a lot of stuff.
Yes. All right. First and foremost, you want to have a website, even if it's just a one-page landing page. People are going to trust you so much more if you have a website. So it doesn't have to be big and fancy and crazy, but having that real estate on the internet, people are going to take you so much more seriously if you have a website. 2, start collecting email addresses from day one. With that website, you want to make sure that you have your email system ready to go. Even if you're not ready to start emailing, having a way to capture people's information when they do land on your website, super important. And then the third thing is in regards to social media specifically, you do not need to be on every single social media platform out there. Pick one and do a great job with that. It's so much better to be on one platform and do a really good job than to be on all of them and be spread thin. So think about who is your target audience? Where are they hanging out? That's the first thing to consider. And the second thing to consider with that is where are you most comfortable? Because maybe you have a personal Twitter account, a personal Instagram, a personal Facebook, personal whatever, but you don't use them all. Or maybe you really like Instagram, but you're not as savvy with Twitter or, something else. So, you want to set yourself up for success. So find out where your people hang out. And then if that happens to be the place where you're most comfortable, fantastic, great, go with that.
So with regards to websites, can they be like a Wix? Is that okay?
Or I have a Wix website. Ooh. And I love it. It's easy for me to manipulate and keep up. I don't have to have someone else do all of the updates for me. So it's easy for me to make quick changes on the fly.
I like it.
But then also, I got one of my first clients, one of my biggest clients that I had for about 7 years, found me my 3rd month of business through a Google search with my little Wix website. It captured people's attention. So it works for me and it'll work for you.
I'm going to put your website in the chat right now. So
thank you.
Little shameless plug right there so they can go see what it looks like. And then when you're collecting emails, do you have a preference? Like, do you prefer Chipmunky or whatever the different, like you have a preferred CRM?
Yes,
yeah,
I absolutely do. Constant Contact all the way. That's what I have been using I've been using it since 2005. And I absolutely have utilized many other email marketing platforms. I always come back to Constant Contact. I love it so much. I have clients who I manage their email marketing on Constant Contact, on MailChimp, on ActiveCampaign, on a variety of different platforms. Constant Contact is so easy to use. It's so easy to use. So
easy is important right now. Let me tell you, we got a lot of stuff coming at us. And then with regard to your third tip, which is picking one platform, if you were kind of up in the air, would you agree that Facebook, it just seems like it's got the most users at some point. If you really were torn, what would you recommend? Would it be LinkedIn? Would it be Facebook? If you just really had to just...
So I think that every business person in the world should have a LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
You should have that set up. But as far as having a platform to promote your business as a small business owner, Facebook is a really great way to go. The only time I would say no to that would be if their audience was much younger, like their direct audience. So, people who are targeting teenagers, you're probably not really targeting teenagers, you're targeting their parents. So it's still better to be on Facebook than to go to something that, unless the your consumer, the person paying you money, is much younger, Facebook's going to be a good general purpose go-to, because of the fact that you can get reviews on there and those show up. That kind of counts SEO wise across the internet. People can see
Oh,
your
good.
reviews. You can create events. You can, just there's so many things that you can do with Facebook. The advertising platform, if you want to get into that, is so robust. So yeah, I think that Facebook is always a good place to be for any business owner.
To master, yeah, and then branch out from there. And then I told you I was going to ask you a little bit about like business versus personal pages. So, I'm going to use me because I'm going to be, shameless and ask you advice for me. How about that?
Sure.
So I get a lot of interaction on my personal page, but not so much on my business page. But the concerns I have, and I know this has been a big concern of some of the friends, I'm in a social media mafia group that we kind of have fun, try to game the system a little bit. But our biggest concern is if we're posting businessy type things on our personal page, what are the chances we're going to get shut down? Could you talk a little bit about, what the distinctions are and how the algorithms work and what we should be doing? Because it is a little bit confusing.
Yeah. So for Facebook, utilizing a personal profile as a business page it's violating the terms of service. So that could result in you getting shut down. Now, that's not to say that you can't ever talk about your business on your personal account. Certainly you can do that. But one, you don't want to make all of your friends totally irritated by only talking about your business, because social media is there for us to be social with each other. So when I become friends with someone on Facebook, I want to know about them. I want to know, I do want to know what you're having for breakfast. Like I'm that person. I love seeing food posts because I love food. So, I want to see all of the fun things that you're doing. I want to see your vacations and your pets and your kids. And, I want the human experience of a person in their personal profile. If I am interested in your business, I'm going to go follow your business page. I'm not going to go and connect with someone personally because I want to know about their business. I'm going to find their business page, because having the personal page, you have to have unless you have your settings put together so that you have followers, which a lot of people don't know about. If you don't have your page set up that way, and then you don't make all of your posts public, then the only people who can see your posts are the people who are friends with you. And I'm the type of person, I'm not going to become friends with someone to learn about their business. That's what their business page is for. So, and the issue that people run into, I hear that quite a bit, like, oh, well, I don't get a lot of interaction on my business page. It's like, well, it's probably, and I'm not saying this to you personally because I have not looked at your business page, so I don't know what the deal is.
Very good.
But most people put so much more energy and personality onto their personal page as opposed to their business page. A lot of the stuff that people are doing on their personal page to promote their business, they can do the exact same thing on their business page. And the algorithm, of course, is going to be favoring personal interactions because they want the consumer to have the experience that they want to have. But and I'm not saying you, business owners in general are shooting themselves in the foot because they're not posting on their business page because they think, oh, I'm not getting any engagement there, so I don't post on my business page. And so then all of the folks who have liked your business page don't see any content from you. And if they don't see any content from you, then they can't engage with you. And if they don't engage with you, then they're not going to see your content. Like it's this never-ending spiral of engagement. And so you really want to be getting folks to engage with your content on your business page, because then they're more likely to see the next thing that you post. And so what a lot of people I see before I start working with them, they say, oh, I've had my business page for years and, I don't get anything from it, so I don't do anything with it. It's like, well, okay, then how can you get anything from it if you're not doing anything with it? But because they aren't giving people the immersive experience of who they are as a person and a business owner and a service provider or whatever it is that they do, they're not giving people the opportunity to get to know, like, and trust you, because all they're doing is posting promotional items or, promotional posts. They're selling all the time. Oh, it's a business page. I'm supposed to sell. And nobody, or I should say very few people, get onto social media to be sold to all the time, right? They get onto social media to connect, to see what's new, to keep up with their favorite family, friends, and businesses. And so we need to take that same sort of energy that we put into our personal page and put it into our business page, so that we get that same sort of fun, personal, not just selling all the time feel on a business page. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love it. I mean, that totally makes sense. I just had a couple more quick questions. So what's like a fan page? I don't really understand that. Is that as if you go over 5,000 on your personal, then you go to a fan page? Like, I don't even know what that is.
Well, so as a personal account, you can only have 5,000 connections. That's another downfall of doing everything through your personal account. On a business account, you can have as many people liking your page as there are. So, the limitations of using a business or a personal page for business purposes is that you have the limited capacity of people who you can connect with. You have you don't have the ability to run any ads. So if you want to do advertising, you can't do it through a personal page. You can't see any analytics. So you have no idea, aside from reactions and comments and shares, you don't have any idea what's actually happening behind the scenes, because there's a lot more to engagement on a post than just the likes and comments and shares, because people can click on things and that's engagement. So you don't have any idea how much something has been clicked on. There was a situation in the past I was working with a client, and I don't remember what the topic was, but it was something that was maybe a little bit controversial, and something that people wouldn't necessarily want to comment on, but it got a lot of clicks. People were really interested in the topic, and they were clicking through and reading the article, but nobody was liking it because it was a situation where they didn't necessarily want to out themselves that they had interacted with this post. So it's just in your best interest as a business owner to have a business page, so that you can see that behind the scenes stuff that you can't with a personal page.
Totally. So what is this fan page? Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, because I've heard of it before, and I'm like, I don't even understand what that thing is. So
most people refer to business pages as fan pages.
Okay, but if you have followers, you can go higher on your personal too, right? Like if you change your settings so that people can follow you, that goes above the 5,000 limit. Okay, good. And then I'd like to address the food thing, because I'm the opposite. Like, I don't care what you had for lunch. Quit showing me your bacon. I'm a vegetarian. But should that stay on stories, or should that be on your feed? I mean, talk to us a little bit about what do you put in a story versus a feed? Oh, and by the way, I just want to share with you, people are loving it. So
that's great. Hooray. Thank you. Yes, this question of, does Facebook not like links outside? Ideally, Facebook wants you to always stay on Facebook. But certainly sometimes you're just going to have to link off of it. But okay, you just asked me something and I've already forgotten. Stories. Food. Okay. Oh, food. So the big thing there is it really all has to do with what's your brand. For you, regardless of what platform you're on, you want to stay true to who you are, your business is, what your business voice is. So for me personally, on Instagram, if you go to my personal Instagram account, you're going to see a lot of pictures of food. You're going to see a lot of selfies with my hairstylist. Because the last, few months, the only thing I've done is eat and watch TV and, have Zoom meetings. And so the fun few personal outings that I've had, it's usually when I'm getting my hair done. So yay. So, posting all of that sort of stuff on my business Instagram account would make no sense. It's not relevant. However, occasionally, it does make sense to post food related stuff for me because of who my brand is and what my brand is. So like on National Tater Tot Day, I posted a picture of some tot waffles that I made because they're flippin' delicious. I love Eggs Benedict. So usually on Eggs Benedict Day, I'll share a picture of an Eggs Benedict that I had. Wine days, cheese days, popcorn days, like I post about those things on those days because they are holidays, and it's a fun, engaging sort of thing to post. But I don't do that every single day because that's not, my business isn't about food, you know? So there are some people, some businesses where it totally makes sense for them to post about more personal things just because that's their brand. So the thing that I think is most important is, regardless of what sort of content you're posting, that you stay true to who you are. Something that I've had to do personally is my mother is a retired English teacher. And so I'm much more formal when I write than when I speak. And so I've had to really consciously change the way that I write so that it's not, you don't read this and say, oh, this is what I expect Tracy to be like, and then talk with me and be like, there's a bit of a disconnect. So I've had to change the way that I write so that it matches the way that I speak, because I do so much speaking. I get out in front of people. I do a lot of networking. I do a lot of presentations. So I want to make sure that I am staying true to that and being authentic. That is the most important thing when you are putting yourself out there on social media, is being authentic. So anyone who knows me in real life knows that I love to eat. So me putting food up on my business stuff every once in a while is not a weird thing, because in those situations, it has something to do with it. So that's the great thing about utilizing different platforms, if you have the bandwidth for that, is that each platform can kind of have its own flavor. And so I don't post a lot of the same stuff on Facebook and Instagram just because they are their own worlds. Certainly there's some crossover, and I do share the same thing on both, but I generally have very distinct experiences on my different social platforms.
So do you just push the share button, or do you actually re-put it on there? Because I've heard if you hit the share button from IG to Facebook, it's not as bueno.
That is correct. So with the big issue, well, there are two big issues with sharing something from Instagram directly to Facebook for business purposes. I don't care as much when I see people doing it from personal to personal, but for business purposes, the formatting is different. So if you posted something on Instagram and you tagged somebody, put their handle in the post, it shows up great on Instagram, but it's not going to translate onto Facebook. So that's a rookie mistake. The other thing is, on Instagram, you want to be using hashtags. 11 to 30 hashtags per post for smaller businesses is going to really help you get more visibility, but you don't want to have hashtags on Facebook. So if you're posting on Instagram and having it perfect there, and then sharing it over to Facebook, it doesn't translate. The etiquette is different. Another thing with Instagram, because you can't post links aside from the link in your bio, often when you do a post on Instagram, you're going to say, if you're referring to a product or a blog or something, an action that you want people to take, you're going to say, oh, go to the link in my bio to learn more or take the step, or that call to action. You don't have a link in your bio the same way on Facebook. So you can be basically throwing your audience off on Facebook if you're just posting on Instagram and sharing it directly over to Facebook.
Great. And I do want to make sure that we hit this question, which was, where would you put the links? Would you put, like, let's say you wanted to reference an article, would you put it in your comments? Would you put it in the infographic? Would you put it in your post? Where would you put the link if you want to share it?
I think that it's absolutely fine to use links on Facebook. You just don't want every single one of your article or every single one of your posts to be an outside link. I mean, because sometimes you're just going to have to link to your website, to your blog, to whatever. So it's not like you can never share links outside of Facebook. Just if that's all you're doing, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of engagement and success with that.
Yeah. And I have so many more questions, but we're running out of time.
I feel like I've been talking for 5 minutes. I can't believe that it's been a half an hour.
I know, because I love this subject. And I'm going to ask you one more, so we might go over just for a hot second. How often should you post? So I'm a business and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so much coming at me. What would be the best practices of like, all right, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm just going to suck it up and do it. What do I need to do?
Sure. So if we're talking about Facebook and Instagram, then I would recommend posting daily. You don't need to post more than that unless you're a really big page, like huge pages that have over, 10,000 people, 100,000 people. You should be posting more than once a day. But for smaller pages, once a day is totally sufficient. If you're doing less than that, it's not going to be the end of the world. But in an ideal situation, you're going to be posting on a consistent basis. That's important, because remember, we want people to be having the opportunity to engage with your content, because if people engage with your content, they're more likely to see it the next time you post. And if they are interacting with your stuff, then that's going to get shared with their networks as well. So if you don't post, you're not giving people the opportunity to engage with your content. So you're not getting the opportunity to expand your reach.
Yeah, and we got to go, but everyone's loving the session. And I love your email, constant contact to me, because in there you give great ideas in your Facebook page. And I love that you give the calendar once a month. So how do we get the people to either at least engage with that as a starting point?
Sure.
What would you like for me to put in the chat as far as maybe getting the calendar or?
So that content idea calendar that you're talking about, that's part of my membership platform. So I do have a free level of it's called Zing Pop in Your PJs, because I think that you should be able to just do your social media casually in your PJs if you want. So the free level of that, the bronze level, I would be delighted to have people join. On my website, it's on the membership tab, and anybody is welcome to sign up. You get a content calendar every month, so that if you are you don't know what to post about on any given day, you can look at the post and say, oh great, it's National Hash Brown Day. I can post about hash browns. Today is World Bee Day. And you get access to my my exclusive Facebook group. So if you have questions about social media, email, whatever sort of marketing, you can ask in there. A variety of other resources that are all listed on the page. But the Facebook group and the content calendar are the big things that people really love out of my bronze membership.
So I'm going to put that in there, and I know they can get that. So that's in there as well. Well, oh my gosh, this went so fast. I just want to say thank you so much for coming to share with us. And I just wish we had more time, so we'll have to have you back on the show. Just really appreciate you being here.
Happy to be here. Happy to spend time with you. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another great interview of On the Fly with Kai, where we every single Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific and all time zones in between, we give you the opportunity to get some tips, tricks, and hacks for the entrepreneur. And today was amazing. So thank you so much. And Heidi Carroll just wants to say, yay, B-Day. And so
she has a massage company called The Bees Needs. So very appropriate for her.
Exactly. So, all right, everyone, take care, take charge. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.